What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Steven, and in today's video, we're checking out the Ceremonials album from Florence and the Machine. Now, before we get into today's video, I need a huge favor from you guys. Make sure to smash that subscribe button. We are on the road to 200,000 subscribers, and I cannot do that without all of you. I also want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon supporter, Nicholas. He is in one of the top tiers on my Patreon supporters, and one of the benefits is that they get to pick one album per month to have me review and react to, whatever you want to call it. And this is the album that he chose, so I'm really excited to be checking this one out today. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can also check out the Patreon. It's one of the first links in the description. And last but not least, you guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter up here usually, and all of my socials are down here as well. So believe it or not, I've actually never listened to Florence and the Machine, except I had heard that Shake It Out song passively, and I checked out the video and I really liked it, and you guys seem to really like the idea of me checking out some of these albums as well. So it's always fun to be able to do an album that I know you guys want to see, because I think that the conversations in the comment section get a lot cooler when a lot of people want to check it out. I feel like over the last couple of months, I've been introduced to so many cool artists that I should know, but that I had never heard before, and this is yet another one. Hearing Shake It Out was such an epic song, and so I'm kind of curious as to how this album's gonna go, because that song was really epic and intense, and I have a feeling that a lot of that energy is going to be applied to the rest of this album as well. Okay, so the way this works is I always have my lyrics pulled up, and we're just gonna jam this, we're gonna check the lyrics out, we're gonna talk about it at the end of the song. And yeah, so let's just sit back, relax, and check out Florence and the Machine's Ceremonials. Okay, so right away, we're already greeted with that sound that I thought we were gonna get out of this album, which is just very epic moments in this, almost feeling theatrical. There's like a way where Florence, she sings and then she goes kind of into this falsetto, and then she harmonizes with herself on the choruses, and while she's doing that, so much music is coming together and sort of like crashing all at once, and it just creates a very epic sound. I feel like the word epic is going to be used way too many times through this video, because that's really the only way I can explain what that sound is. Now, I'm looking at the lyrics, and there are annotations to some of the lyrics, and it seems as though, and this could be wrong, or I could be wrong, it seems as though this song is Florence talking about her grandmother and the motivation that her grandmother gave her. And she says a couple things. The only solution was to stand and fight. My body was loose and I was set alight, but you came over me like some holy rite. And although I was burning, you were the only light, only if for a night. I heard your voice as clear as day, and you told me I should concentrate. It was all so strange, and it was all so surreal that a ghost should be so practical. Almost as if her grandmother is no longer there with her, but she's there in spirit, and she's able to hear that energy and use that for motivation to get through whatever it is she's going through. Now, I could be wrong in that, or this interpretation could be wrong, but it does make sense when you read the lyrics back. And I felt like this album, especially with the intensity, when you listen to an album for the first time and you hear songs for the first time, it's hard to pick up on everything. It's why I try to have the lyrics in front of me. Otherwise, I'm paying too much attention to the instruments or too much attention to the vocals, and I will miss a lot of that. And I felt like with this album, it was definitely going to be an album I was going to need to have lyrics out for, especially when I don't really know what to expect. So the next song is called Shake It Out. We did a video for this one, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but we are going to listen to it. Okay, so I still feel the same about that song. I feel like so much of it is a build-up leading up to that moment when Florence holds that note for 30 seconds or something. I just think that moment is still so cool. My favorite part of the song still remains that she says that it's hard to dance with the devil on your back, so shake him off. And overall, I just love the amount of chaos happening in the instruments in this song. And the music video, while it was very difficult to follow, had that sort of chaos going on as well. So again, a very chaotic and epic moment. But I like listening to that song in preparation to get into this album, because sometimes I like to have a preview of like what I'm getting myself into, and I feel like that song really gave me a good idea. I mean, we're only 2 tracks in, so I can't really say that, but Only If For a Night had that same sort of feel to it. So I'm excited to get into the next song, which is called What the Water Gave Me. Yes! I like that the chorus serves as like a build-up into the next verse. That's like something that doesn't always happen. Yes! So one thing that I love about that song is I love that it doesn't follow any algorithm. It doesn't follow the stereotypes of what music usually does, where you have a verse that sort of builds up into the chorus, or a verse that builds up into a pre-chorus that then drops a chorus. Everything about this song was building up for the end of the song, and you can tell every time the verse was very slow, and I feel like Florence sounded so beautiful in it, and you could hear like this little like drum beat starting to build up, but it was nothing crazy. And then the chorus drops and it's very quiet, but then it builds up towards the end of it, and boom, we have another verse, and it keeps building that up, and then even at the end, so it's like an anticlimactic chorus for an extremely climactic verse, if that makes any sense. And then of course at the end it all becomes chaos, and I love the song so far. Like, I want to go back after this and really listen to it a couple more times and pay attention to what's going on in the instruments there, because I think that is definitely something different that you don't hear from a lot of songs. And I do like that experimental approach that they're taking to the music side of this. So overall, I'm having fun with this so far. I don't know how I never got into Florence and the Machine. I don't know. I mean, I've obviously heard of them or her. This was never like someone I didn't know who they were, but I couldn't have told you a single song from them. And now that I'm going back and listening to it, like, I find that this happens a lot on this channel. I go back, I listen to an artist for the first time, and I check out an album, and then I'm like, okay, this came out in 2011. Like, 8 years ago. Why? Like, why did I not have this as part of my life? Even to at least know it. Like, I'd like to be exposed to different kinds of music. I think that it makes things a lot of fun, and it's fun to be knowledgeable in a lot of different genres, and to not even know any songs from this band or from her. I don't know if it's like actually like Florence sings and then there's a band and that's the Machine, or if it's Florence and the Machine and it's just one band. I never know. You never know. But I'm gonna shut up because this next song is called Never Let Me Go.
Found a place to rest my
Ooh, she comes in so strong. Okay, so I was reading the lyrics and trying to get the picture of what was happening. I saw a couple annotations, and I really do like those. I don't feel like it's cheating to have them, because, you know, the way that Florence writes, it's a lot of symbolism, and sometimes it's hard to pick up if you don't know a lot about the context that she's using a lot of this stuff in, or if you're just not familiar too much with her music. But what I picked up from the lyrics plus the annotations is that this song is about Florence wanting to commit suicide, wanting to kill herself in order to cleanse herself of her sins. A lot of that can be picked up with, it's breaking over me 1,000 miles down to the seabed, found the place to rest my head, never let me go, never let me go. And the annotation here says, it's Florence literally just telling people, you know, please don't let me kill myself. In the chorus, and the arms of the ocean are carrying me, and all this devotion's rushing out of me, and the crashes are heaven for a sinner like me, but the arms of the ocean delivered me. So, and the crashes are heaven for a sinner like me, because the crashes are literally pulling her under and killing her, and she feels like that's what she deserves as a sinner, and death would be a way to cleanse her sins. Now, that song is extremely deep. I didn't realize we'd be diving so deep into lyrical content here, but I feel like that is going to be a heavy play on this album, which makes it even more difficult for a first time listen. It's very challenging. Again, the music was beautiful in this. Florence just sounded so perfect. And then I'm trying to keep up with these lyrics. It's like reading a textbook. I don't know how people just sit here and like, yeah, oh, that's awesome. I don't know how you do that, because there's so much to pay attention to. And for someone like me, I want to get a good grasp on what I'm listening to. And when I listen to something for the first time, to be able to express how I feel about each thing is a challenge. That is a challenge all in itself. Now, at the end of the song, for the closure part, I'm pretty sure that she did end up killing herself, because in the arms of the ocean, so sweet and so cold, and all this devotion, I never knew at all. And the crashes of heaven for a sinner released, and the arms of the ocean delivered me. Saying like, I was able to cleanse myself of sin because I killed myself in the ocean. So that is fucking intense and not what I was expecting. Okay, the next song is called Breaking Down. Oh, already like the drums.
It was always there, you see.
Okay, so I wasn't a fan of the vocals in this. Not that Florence didn't sound great, but they had this effect on her voice where it was a little bit of an echo, and it sounded like it was a little bit mixed back with the vocals, and for me, it didn't really sound that great. However, I really liked the instrumental here, and I think the lyrical content is really my favorite part of this song. It seems as though the song is about sadness or heartbreak or depression, something along those things, and she's almost talking about it like it's a person. She says, all alone, it's always there, you see, and even on my own, it's always standing next to me. It's like that looming dark cloud that's always over you. Says, I can see it coming from the edge of the room, creeping in the streetlight, holding my hand in the pale gloom. Can you see it coming now? Like, I can actually witness my sadness coming to me. She says, all alone, even when I was a child, I've always known there was something to be frightened of, which is deep, especially if you deal with depression, because you know that you can be happy and fine and everything's great, and then out of nowhere, sadness hits, and it's terrifying. And imagine, getting hit with that as a child. As an adult, you understand it more, but as a kid, it would be extremely terrifying. And then I liked in the bridge when she said, all alone on the edge of my sleep, my old familiar friend comes to lie down next to me. That pretty much sums up depression in a whole, and sadness and heartbreak. And I don't know in what context she's singing about this, but you can tell immediately that that is the type of theme that she's talking about, especially when she talks about it being frightening and talks about it coming when she's all alone. Oh, I think I'm breaking down again. So ultimately, I really like the lyrics. Again, wasn't a huge fan of what they did to the vocals here. I feel like Florence has such a beautiful voice, and putting too much effect on it like that takes away from it a lot. Okay, so now that we got the depression song out of the way, let's listen to the song Lover to Lover. So good. Okay, so I don't know the exact context, and even the annotations don't really know what the exact context of these lyrics are, but I'm gonna do my best to pick up what I gathered from it. I've been losing sleep, I've been keeping myself awake, I've been wandering the streets for days and days and days. I'm going from road to road, bed to bed, lover to lover, and black to red. So the actual annotation of this thinks it can be interpreted in two ways. One being beds as in hotel beds. She's a famous singer traveling all over the world. The other is beds as in sleeping with different lovers. I actually think it has something to do with more sleeping with different lovers. And the reason I say that is because then she goes to say, there's no salvation for me now, no space among the clouds, and I'm feeling head down, but that's all right. I've been taking chances, setting myself up for the fall, keeping secrets from my heart and my soul. Road to road, bed to bed, lover to lover, black to red, road to road, bed to bed. What I pick up from it is that she's had a lot of different lovers, and for that reason, she's not going to heaven. And this is sort of like a majestic way of putting that when she says, there's no salvation for me now, no space among the clouds. There's no space for me in heaven because I've been down doing what I've been doing. So I like that. I really like the beat to that song, and there were some really great moments from Florence's vocals in this. And coming from Breaking Down, which was a little bit slower and had a lot of effects on it, this song really picked up and made it a lot better because they didn't put any effects on her vocals. They just let her sing, and I think I like that better. I don't like the overly produced sometimes, especially when an artist has such great vocal capabilities. Okay, the next song is called No Light, No Light. Ooh. Yes. Okay, so I am a huge fan of, we won't talk about the lyrics yet, let's talk about the music. I love that the first verse was very slow and sort of like bringing the emotion of the song, which is a very emotional song. But I love that the minute that it hits the chorus, there was no build up or anything. It just started up with an up-tempo beat in the drums, and Florence just comes in killing it. And I really love that sort of algorithm and that sort of way that they put together the instruments there. Now this song is about, losing somebody, whether it be a breakup or whatever, and she starts it off immediately. You're the hole in my head, the space in my bed, the silence in between what I thought and what I said. Nighttime fear, morning when it's clear, when it's over, you're the star, you're my head, you're my heart. She's just putting together like what a relationship is, what a significant other is to you. Hole in my head, space in bed. And when it gets to the chorus, you can tell that this is a relationship completely in jeopardy. Well, first she says, you are the nighttime fear, you're the morning when it's clear. And I checked the annotation of that to pick up if it was what I was thinking about. And it is, where when you're in a relationship that is ending or is in turmoil at that moment, you stay up very, very late pondering what's going to happen. And then you wake up in the morning and you realize that that is what's happening, and it becomes clear. And then when she hits the chorus, no light in your bright blue eyes. I never knew daylight could be so violent. A revelation in the light of day. You can't choose what stays and what fades away. Meaning she stayed up late, had all these thoughts in her head of what was going to happen. And it all came to light when she had revelation in the light of day. I never knew daylight could be so violent. And I just love the fact that, and I don't know if she writes all of this or if it's her in the band, or I don't know much about the group at all. I love the ability that she has to create these moments and tell us the story of it without just oversimplifying everything. I feel like I could have written the same song, but very simplistic, and it would not have hit nearly as hard as to have it the way Florence delivers these lyrics here. And I just feel like it's a great song for a relationship ending, and I feel like a lot of people could probably relate to this song. It seems like you would definitely need to look at the lyrics because Florence's writing is a little bit more unique and in-depth than other artists, but you could definitely feel this in your own life, especially if you've ever been in this situation where you've had a relationship ending. You can connect with these lyrics very easily, and you can feel like Florence is definitely writing this from the heart, and that's what I love about this album so far. Her vocals are so great, and the fact that all these lyrics feel like they're written from the heart, her delivery is so awesome. The other thing that I've noticed about this album is that Florence can sing in so many different tones and so many different sounds, where one song can sound completely unique and different from the song you heard previous or the next song. Nothing really sounds the same here. And I always like to hear an artist who can experiment with different sounds like that. Okay, the next song is called Seven Devils. I like the name. It sounds cool. Oh. That instrumental in the back is so creepy. God, the harmonies. So far, that's my favorite track on this album for a couple reasons. One, the instrumental definitely fit the lyrical content. The song is about the 7 deadly sins. I didn't even have to look up the annotations for that, but I did just to double check my work there, because you don't want to be wrong sometimes, because then you go on a tangent and then you're wrong. But I love how creepy they made the 7 deadly sins seem in this song. If it wasn't enough to just have that, they also added this instrumentation which sounded straight out of a horror movie. If you know me at all, then you know that I love horror movies, and I love to hear that instrument. The fact that Florence was able to match her voice with something so creepy at the same time just created such an awesome moment on this song. Definitely my favorite song on the album so far. Okay, the next track that we're going to be listening to is Heartlines. I'm sorry if this is getting brighter. It's getting darker outside, even though it's like the morning. So as it gets darker, I have to keep adjusting my exposure here. Okay, the next song is called Heartlines. Okay, so I did have to read the annotations for this one because there was a lot going on here, and it sounds like this song has to do with following the heart lines on your hand, which has to do with sort of like fortune telling, and you can tell that in the first verse when they say, seen it in flights of birds, I've seen it in you, in the entrails of animals, the blood running through, but in order to get to the heart, I think sometimes you have to cut through. And basically what I was able to pick up from the annotations, because again, this was a very deep song. Sometimes when songs are that deep, it's hard to follow, especially on the first listen. However, Florence is implying that there's more to life experiences than what we see with our own eyes, and that ever Since the man has been on earth, he's been trying to follow the signs around him to feel connected on a metaphysical level to the world surrounding him. Florence is sending her love and heart through the ley lines, mystical alignments that connect various places in the world to her loved ones back at home, hence the word Heartlines. So that's a lot going on for me, and even though I feel like I'm pretty intelligent, that song is a little bit much for me because I don't know much about like Heartlines and fortune telling and things like that. And sometimes I feel like songs with this, it's songs that really have to grow on you, because I did love the beat and I loved her vocals so much in this. But because the lyrics were way over my head, it's just a little bit hard to understand on the first listen. This one needs a little bit more play for me. Okay, the next song is called Spectrum. So I did read the annotations for this song, and it does seem like spectrum is supposed to mean like the spectrum of emotions and feelings that you have. And some of the annotations suggested that this song was about sexual intercourse, and like when you say my name, everything comes to life. I feel happiness, love. I didn't pick a lot of that up in this song. The first verse, I was a little bit nervous because it sounded like her vocals were turned down a lot. However, once we hit into that pre-chorus and then the rest of the song, and she says like, say my name, all the colors illuminate, her vocal run right there was so beautiful. So I'm really glad that we really got that Florence vocal delivery that I was hoping for in this. Definitely my favorite part of the song was the bridge when she says, when we come back, we'll be dressed in black, you'll scream our names aloud, and we won't eat and we won't sleep, we'll drag bodies from the ground. The annotation suggested that this is like the end, this is like death, and they're joking or like having a little bit of humor about like screaming and a little bit of grave digging, and I thought that was just, for some reason, that stuck out to me the most. But overall, I like this song. I really like the very present drums that exist in pretty much all of these songs. I think it just really keeps that up-tempo vibe, which creates a really cool moment for this entire album. Okay, the next song is called All This and Heaven Too.
And the heart is hard to translate. It has a language of its own.
Okay, my favorite part of this song, easily Florence's vocals. I mean, what's there to even say? She always just sounds so great. There was no crazy mixing on it. There was no weird effects. Everything was perfect on this one. I didn't care too much for the backing track, the instrumentation. I feel like I've just heard so many good things that this band is able to do, and on this song, to me, it just wasn't really there. Now, there wasn't a ton of annotations for this song, which is a little bit upsetting because she does write very deep, and there's a lot to pay attention to. I was hoping that there'd be a little bit more explanation, but kind of what I've gathered from the lyrics is that the song is about emotion, maybe love, maybe happiness, something to do with an emotion, and she can't seem to understand it, and she can't seem to understand the language that it speaks in and the way that it tries to translate itself. And she is just trying to figure out how to understand it, and she says, I would give all of this in heaven too if it meant that, I could understand how this works and, how this is interpreted. And in the outro, she says, no, words are a language. It doesn't deserve much such treatment, and all of my stumbling phrases never amounted to anything worth this feeling. All this heaven never could describe such a feeling as I'm hearing. Words were never so useful, so I was screaming out a language I never knew existed before. Now, I may be wrong, but my opinion is she's saying, like, no, we put a word on this emotion, and all we're doing is giving this word so much power, whatever that word may be. And she's like, why are we giving it so much power? Why am I having to feel this way over just a language that we created? So I like that song. I do feel like I wish the instruments were just a little bit different in that, just to create a much bigger vibe. But otherwise, cool song. Okay, the next song is called Leave My Body.
Losing blood, I'm gonna leave my bones.
That right there that's what I love. I love this type of sound from Florence and the Machine. I love the build-up in the instruments. I love Florence harmonizing with herself. I love hearing her singing backup vocals. I love the epic sound that comes. This is a perfect song from Florence and the Machine. I feel like I've heard a couple on this album that are like this, but it's just something in particular about this type of sound, that epic build-up that really sets her apart from everyone else, and I love it so much. I knew when I could hear that tambourine or whatever that is that this was going to be a great song. The lyrical content about this was essentially her talking about leaving her physical body and like giving herself a little bit of mental freedom and a little bit of headspace away from her body. You know, I don't need no husband, don't need no wife, I don't need any of the physical things. I'm just trying to mentally separate myself from my body, and I thought that part was really great. It's hard to follow the lyrics though whenever I catch an instrumental with a vocal. It sounds so good like this one because all I wanted to do was just bang my head and sit back and enjoy it. And I feel like there is a place for that, even if lyrics are really in depth. Like I have to listen to this album a couple more times without the lyrics in front of me to really get the full effect of this. Great song, I love that one. Definitely can't wait to listen to that again. The next song we're gonna listen to is called Remain Nameless.
I was born in a pit without shame.
So interesting. I was not a fan of the 808 or drum pad that they were using in the first minute and a half of the song. It like felt uncomfortable. Like it didn't really fit. I feel like it could have been a different sound. Especially when Florence is doing so great vocally. To not have an instrumentation back her up very well, that was kind of a bummer. But they did fix that. Like towards the minute and a half, they added more to the actual beat that sounded a lot better. I will say that this song was a little bit anticlimactic. There wasn't much about it that was super memorable, except for me not liking the 808 pad. I hate when that happens. I hate when what I remember about a song is something negative. That's usually not how I like to think. However, sometimes that does happen, and in Remain Nameless, that's how I feel right now. I also read through the lyrics and read through the annotations to try to figure out like what was really going on here, and I just I couldn't connect anything. I don't know. This song just really wasn't for me. I wasn't a fan of the lyrics. Maybe I'm just not picking up on the content. It could definitely be the case. I liked Florence's vocals here, but the instrumentation just wasn't great. Okay, let's move on. We can't like every song. The next song is called Strangeness And Charm. Oh, I love the instruments here. So right off the bat, I can tell you that I'm just not smart enough to really appreciate some of the songs on this album. This song is all about everything being on an atomic basis, and I can tell you that I was not good at that in school. The static on your arms is the catalyst. Oh, the chemical it burns, there is nothing but this. And the purest element, it is so volatile. An equation heaven sent, a drug for angels, strangeness and charm. And then I start clicking the annotations, and I'm doing math, and I'm like that meme where there's all these equations going through my head. That's how I feel about this song. But goddamn, the instruments are so good here. And even though I think Florence's vocals are amazing, I like that there was a little bit of an effect on this one. It had this resonance, this echo that would happen at the end of it. And overall, this almost reminded me of a punk rock song. It had the right elements for it. A little bit of echo, a little bit of reverb, had really great instruments. And even though the lyrics were maybe a little bit over my head on this one, I will say that I could jam the song over and over, even if it was just for the song itself without the lyrics. That's how good this one was. Okay, again, I'm apparently not smart enough. The last song we're gonna do here is a song called Bedroom Hymns. Sounds naughty. I love this. Okay, well, Florence gave us a song with a ton of metaphors about sex, and I love this song. Will you build your altar here? Make me your Maria. I'm already on my knees. You had Jesus on your breath. I caught him on mine. The undone and the divine. This is his body. This is his love. Such selfish prayers, and I can't get enough. I love the annotation here where they're saying that Florence and her lover are blaspheming by using religion as a tool for their activities together. Obviously, the instruments, I think the band probably doesn't get enough credit on this album because overall, I just feel like the instrumentation was done so well here. You don't often find really popular albums like this that have an actual band that are just this talented and give you such memorable moments. And one thing, I have a lot of questions. That's for sure. Because one, I do not think that I'm smart enough to pick up her lyrics on the first time. I don't know that I know enough background about a lot of the themes here for me to be able to just pick it up on first try. I feel like that's something I have to listen to numerous times because there's a lot going on here. So that's one. Two, I can't tell if Florence is religious or if she is blasphemizing religion this entire time. There's been a lot of contradiction in the songs that make me wonder if maybe she believes but she's not interested, or if she's extremely religious and these songs are her just sort of taking the stance of not being holy all the time. I can't tell. And I like that part because I feel like it's not a religious album, obviously, with Seven Devils being so haunting. And there are songs about suicide and obviously bedroom hymns. Things like that make me think that this album's not religious at all, but I'm just not sure. And she has a very deep understanding and knowledge of faith and religion, and I like that because the songwriting definitely reflects that a lot, but it also leaves you to wonder what the actual theme of this was. Now, I do pick up a lot, again, of her exploring all of the negative sides of religion. Not really the negative sides, but all of the sides of questioning faith and committing sin and committing suicide and depression and sex and all of those other things but then multiple times she talks about giving away heaven for something. She's been a fallen angel. She wants to give heaven away, to understand emotion and things like that. So I'm not sure. If you guys know, please enlighten me by letting me know in the comment section, because I feel like it would help me understand the album a little bit more on a lyrical basis if I kind of knew what her stance was. But all of those things out of the way, holy shit, her vocals are amazing. And not just in one style. She can sing in so many different styles, and she picked up on so many of those moments in this album. It always had me guessing what the next song was going to sound like. I think for an artist to be able to not only be good at one sound, but to master many different styles is an art and talent all on its own. And the fact that she did it so effortlessly in this album was so great. And I love the fact that she could get away with just the vocals and the instruments. That would be enough to make this album extremely successful. She's got a beautiful voice. Her band is absolutely amazing. They deserve more credit. And despite knowing that, she still put this much effort into the writing. And the writing here is what really stands out. And I feel like to be able to really enjoy this album, you have to have the lyrics pulled up. She uses so many metaphors, so much symbolism. Again, not easy to pick up on the first listen, but I am thoroughly impressed with this album. It makes me think that I definitely need to dive more into more of the content from this band, because there's just so much going on here. And again, it's hard to give it the attention it really deserves on one listen. I feel like it's hard for me to even make a video off one listen, but that really is how these go. It's the first time listen. I just feel like there's so much more to this album, and I need to listen to it a few more times to really get the bigger picture here. Again, I just want to thank my Patreon supporter, Nicholas, for really wanting me to check out this album. I appreciate you so much, and I'm glad that you're showing me music like this. It's like you knew that I was going to enjoy it, and I always like that. I get people in the comment section that'll be like, please check this out, please check this out. I know you're going to like it. And it makes me feel really good to know that people can sort of pick up the type of music that I'm really into, or the type of things that I'm going to like. And even though I have a very diverse taste in music, I do tend to fall listening to the same types of things. So to be able to have this YouTube channel and this Patreon and have so many people that want to show me more music and want to show me music that they love because they think I'm going to enjoy it, that's really a special moment, and it's the reason I wanted to do all of this in the first place. So thank you again. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're on our road to 200,000 subscribers. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you're interested in supporting the channel, because a lot of these videos do get demonetized because I am using music that I do not own. So sometimes they do get demonetized. If you want to help support, make sure to check out the Patreon. You're going to get album review reaction videos that have a lot more audio in them. Not all of it, but they have a lot more in them. and exclusive videos over there. You can, sign up for higher level membership tiers. You're able to get album videos such as this one and cool other things too. So make sure to check that out. It's going to be one of the first links in the description. I really appreciate all of you for hanging out, enjoying this video, enjoying this album with me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.